everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Anwatu. Today is another special edition of book review with Chizoba Christian.
Hello everyone.
So we are here to continue with this book, Exercising Dominion Through the Sword of Vengeance.
Yes.
14 chapters book written by Evangelist Christian. We have already done the first series, and today we are here to continue with the second series. And Chizoba is ready.
I am.
I know she's ready. So let's hear her as she, tell us more about this book.
Okay.
Let's hear you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will be starting from where I stopped, and that should be chapter 8, right?
Yes.
Okay, so to prepare your mind, chapter 8 alone is vast. And I need to discuss it in details so you can get the complete message of chapter 8 and the entire book. Chapter 8 is powerful and deep. That's why I need to come down and discuss chapter 8. So for that, I'll be taking chapter 8 alone in two segments, in two series. I'll be talking about some part here and the other part, because it has long scriptures that should go with the chapter. And let's quickly get into it. So chapter 8 says, exercising dominion from the grandstand.
From the grandstand.
Yes.
Okay.
You will love this one, I promise. Now, there are people who are in church, but Jehovah is not their God.
Wow. Did you hear that? There are people that are inside the church.
Yes.
And Jehovah is not their God.
Jehovah is not
Let's
their
hear more
God.
about that.
Even some pastors who are preaching are not children of God.
Wow.
Laying hands on the sick, doing prophecies, basically manufacturing rod are not proofs of a child of God. I've said before that a witch doctor can do all of that. Satan can produce rods. Now, how to know such people is that even when they're in the church, they will not bear fruit of repentance. When you meet them, you will know what they serve. You will know what they serve from their interest, which is mammon.
Even from their character.
Yes. You will know it. And that interest is always mammon. They must point you to it. Now, the root that bears us is far stronger than religion. What affects us, the things that inspires us to look at things the way we do, reason the way we do, is more stronger than religion. That is to tell you that nature is far stronger than religious belief, because it is nature that controls how we relate with God. Yes, that is what constitutes the value of a person. Now, value speaks. This is why I should not trifle with it, because it speaks both in heaven and on earth and in all realms. It also rules and reigns on earth. The men who are in the grandstand were men who were on earth, are men who were on earth. And what took them to the grandstand are their earth content, that is their value. And this value still speaks. That's what gives them the strength to function in the grandstand. Hebrews chapter 11 verses 13 to 16 says, and this all having died in faith, but received not the promise, but having seen them afar off, they were persuaded of them, they embraced them, and they confessed plainly that they seek a country, a better, a heavenly. Wherefore, if they were mindful of where they were coming from, they would have had the opportunity to return back. But because they were not mindful of where they were coming from, they declared plainly that they sought a better country, a heavenly. Wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. Now, if they were mindful of where they were coming from, that is, if the vision was not clear, when challenge or vision comes, they would have resorted back to comfort zone. Because the moment you can see that future, when you want to soar, you will meet storm. The strength to maneuver storms and soar to altitude comes from eyes. So if that vision was not clear, they would have quickly resorted back. That is because they could see the future plainly, clearly, and they confessed it. So they stayed with the challenges of vision. So even though they did not obtain the promise, even though they did not receive the promise, when they went to the grandstand, they kept pushing their children towards that future. They have not arrived at that destination, but they are guiding their children on the same journey from the grandstand. Some of our fathers did not see any future, so they are not pushing us towards any future.
Because they did not see any future at all.
So what the Jews have done is to buttress this context better. What the Jews have done is, let's say for instance, Abraham was in Lagos and saw that future to be in Abuja. That's where God was. What he did was to trek to where he could trek to, based on his
strength,
age, limitation of age and season, and then put his children. They trekked to where they could trek to, maybe from Ogun State to Ore, whatever the case, and they put their children trekked, and that was how they kept contributing, yes, until they got that city whose builder and maker is God, Christ. And to show you how restless these people are, that heaven is still progressing, that grandstand is still progressing to produce the Lion of Judah. It is this clear direction that has produced a book of direction for the nation called the Bible. And when can we finish with the Bible?
You can't finish with this.
Generations yet unborn will still need that book of guidance, the Bible. These people they gave themselves to vision and they trekked to eternity. That's why it's called trekking to eternity. All who have problem with God are those who want to jump the process. And that's what the Gentiles does, most Gentile nations. Even when they see that future, materialism will make them truncate, to divert. Because they don't have the strength to trek to eternity. Trekking to eternity requires conquering confusion. I think I've discussed this in one of the books before. It requires being gagged by vision. Otherwise, you give yourself to perishable things. So the reason why these other ones don't have strength to continue from the grandstand is because they burnt out their lives on perishable things, to chase after perishable things, and these things could not preserve them. Because whether you like it or not, you will lose your life. What matters is what you're losing your life to. Yes. If you lose your life to perishable things will take your life and deny it. But if you give your life to vision will take your life and preserve it. It's just like putting your money in a bank or investing in the money for interest, right? So the reward of vision is eternal. That's why these men did not die. They just crossed to the grandstand and they kept pushing and continued from there. So vision preserved them. They gave their lives to vision. Vision took their lives and kept the life from them. And the lives kept speaking. So they push their children because they have the strength. They push their children because they've seen the future even before their children were born. And they push their children by inspiring them to know what matters. Now, if you are in a situation, learn to use what your heaven and your environment have provided for you. Because the earth is the sphere of man, is the realm of man. You have to use what you have to win on earth as a man. Use what your heaven and environment have provided for you. Because heaven is a conglomerate of spirits. Heaven simply means conglomerate of spirits. Not the physical firmament we're saying, or not the religious definition of heaven we have. Heaven is just the dwelling place of departed spirits. Every family have their heaven. Yes, it is called the grandstand. Every family have their grandstand, and it is the men who have lived in the family that make up the heaven of the family, the grandstand of the family. It is also the content of that grandstand that affects the living. Let me not say that's what God depends on to bless the living, because it can be both ways. So it is the content, the value of that grandstand that affects the living. That's why children look like their parents, not God.
No God.
In some cases, some children can even look like their grandparents.
Of course.
We've seen that happen, or even distant relative. Some children can even decide to look like a particular departed relative. To show you that these things are not religious. God visits this way on the life of the living. This is why you should learn to use what that your heaven have provided. What this means is leverage on the good attributes while you keep subduing the negative. Because the root is a place of both good and evil. So there's something to fight and there's something to improve. I've said before that God uses grace to support families and backgrounds, right? That is something you know how to do well. Only you can do very well because of support from your grandstand and a particular stored value by the past. So leverage on that. Don't get angry with that past. Just leverage with the positive and depend, because that's the opportunity life provides for you. When a man crosses, whether visionary or not, his opportunity to improve stops. He dies, he remains in that state he died in.
Yeah, he stopped.
Yes, but life provides opportunity for you to be anything.
For the living.
Yes. This is why you should keep improving that grandstand, why you subdue the negative. Take advantage of what the heaven have provided, no matter what. Even if the heaven is good, there's still something to progress. There's still something to leverage on, to keep winning and keep progressing. Because God does not work value. Value possession is the sole duty of man. It is just that the divine brings support once vision becomes clear. When a grandstand is active and living, it improves the value of the living.
Yes.
That's why children who are from active grandstand, that's who have fathers that are alive in the grandstand, they don't do their will, they do the will of their fathers. Because these men have seen the future before they were born. And God visits that will on the living. John the Baptist would not have been that kind of a voracious and notable prophet if he came from Reims. Reims, in fact, Reims is a spirit responsible for eating the values and understanding of men. That's why Reims does not produce great men. What the Reims just means is that the land has produced men and denied their lives, denied their existence. So people were born into that family year after year, generation after generation. They grew up, ate food, got married, gave birth, and because they didn't give themselves to vision, the life denied their existence. The land denied existence, and the ruins remain. And why ruins eat the destiny, the understanding and values of men? Because the guidance spirit, when it lingers over the years, it produces a guidance spirit. So the guidance angel ruins produce is called children of disobedience. These keep fighting people's understanding, even when they go to school and have certificates, because of course the world is evolving. So even when they follow trends, with the certificate, they end up being slaves to those who are from active backgrounds, who are from active grandstand, who have fathers that are alive in the grandstand. When people don't understand this, they will not know why
what is
happening in their lives. The disappointments and the good news happening to you is all as a result of grandstand, the value in the grandstand. So there's nobody to get angry at. It's just something to improve on, a past to work on. Jesus also wouldn't have come from ruins. I know what somebody's thinking, but they say nothing good can come out of Nazareth. That is because there's a difference between ruins and not having money and not having charge over your life. It's possible to not have everything you need right now, but you're in charge of your life. When you're in charge, because it is true life will connect to God. If you've not lost your life, when you're in charge of your life, you stay in that process of becoming. Once you've achieved that conversion, you will attract every other thing you need, just like the case of Jesus. So the background of Jesus could not keep him. And we see that both Jesus and John came from the same lineage of priesthood. So it's not about money first. It's about vision. That lineage kept processing until they progressed to get voracious prophet like John and then a Messiah like Jesus. We know that, Mary and Elizabeth were cousins. So that means the angel Gabriel that went to them is a family spirit produced from the Jewish effort, yes, from that grandstand. So that means Jesus came from that Jewish achievement, from the achievement of the past. Whatever value you build now, we speak in your life and in your children. So value will always speak.
Value will always speak.
In this life and in the next. Forever. Let me use that word. Value will always speak forever. The works of the past cannot be denied, whether good or bad. These are the things that speaks on people. The sacrifice of the past cannot be denied also. The sacrifice a man makes to build a grandstand will always influence the life of the living of family members. Because God takes value from men to build firmament. It's not spiritual. When a firmament is silent, it's because the men did not contribute values that God will depend on to build their firmament, to build their heaven. In Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 to 21, the Bible says, and I quote, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures on earth, where neither rot nor moth doth corrupt, or where thieves break through and steal. But lay for yourselves treasures in heaven, where rot nor moth do not corrupt, and where thieves do not break through and steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." Now, everybody on earth has where he lays treasures, which is his value. It is God's lay treasure on themselves, but ordinary people lay treasures on things. Some lay in their businesses, some lay on children. But it is where you lay your treasure that is your value. Yes, that is the value that will speak for you. So if you lay on things, like I said, perishable things, those things will take your life and deny it. That's the mystery of moth, rot, and thieves stealing. It will not speak for you anyway. But if you lay on yourself, on compassion and becoming, it will speak. So you see what I said? You see, the Bible says heaven there. Some people will think, oh, deny the earth and God. No. Your treasure is simply your value. Yes. Just keep laying in becoming, conversion. Like I said, it is where you lay your treasure in that will determine your value. And that's the value that will speak on you and your children. It was laying treasure in himself that made Moses a god. Now, when that transformation is achieved in you, you will now attract what you need. God could not have trusted Moses to go to Egypt. It was when after Moses had become a god that God sent him. Because everything you need is in that conversion. So once you achieve that, you will now attract all that you need, because no man can be denied what he has value for, not even by God or Satan. I will be stopping here for now. You can see I've said so much already.
Just in chapter 8.
Yes, just in chapter 8. And there's still so much to talk about. I promise you, it is empowering. Yes, chapter 8 is powerful. That's why I need to discuss it in detail. So patiently go through it. Anybody needs this book, whether you're a pastor, believer, unbeliever. This is not about religion, it's about power. So stay tuned.
For everybody.
Yes.
Like she just said, the book is for everybody. Not for any particular religion.
Yes.
Just for you to know about grandstand, about your firmament, how it affects you,
yes,
and what you should do concerning it.
Yes.
And for what you said, I also believe that we that are learning it now, we should learn to live right, so that when we cross the grandstand, we should be able to be active.
Yes.
Not in order to be grandstand, no. So join us next edition. There's still so much to say. You can see this is just chapter 8. All this is came from, and it's still remaining. Yes. Chapter 8 is not completed yet, from what she said. So join us in the next edition. And if you know you have not listened to the first one, the second one, please tune in, listen to the first one, come back here and continue with this one. And we're going to see how the third series. So tune in, and we'll see you in the third edition. Bye-bye. Bye.